Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. On today's video we're going to do another gear review for you. It's actually going to be another Bino harness. This is the ADAK Bino harness. This Bino harness is put out by Black Ovis, so you can pick it up or take a look at it at blackovis.com. I've had this one for just over, right around a year now. I picked it up at the Western Hunt Expo in Salt Lake City last year, and I've used it for all of this year. So you're going to get a good look at the year's review, and the benefit of the year's review, as you will see in the video, there is some downfalls to this harness as I go through the year and problems that was created by using it for a year before I did this review. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Here it is. Alright, so you can see here we have the ADAK Bino harness. This one is in Coyote Brown. They also make it in a wolf gray. This Bino harness is sold by Camofire / Black Ovis. You can pick them up for about $100 on Camofire every once in a while. So if you're looking to get this, I would suggest holding out until you spend about $100 to get this off of Camofire instead of on Black Ovis for full price. Real quick, we're just going to kind of talk about the overview of this harness, the features of it, and then I'm going to kind of get into the one thing that I really like about this harness and like the 8 things that I really hate about this harness. So real quick, it's a one-handed opening close operation Bino harness. Really well designed from this aspect. It actually has this lip up here at the top that opens and closes. It uses a bungee cord system to actually close it, so there's an adjustment here on the side so you can adjust the amount of tension needed to open it or close it. It has 2 pockets. Both pockets start on the front and actually wrap around to the sides. They're pretty small pockets and relatively tight. On the side here you can see we have their rangefinder pouch. It opens and closes pretty similar to the way the Bino harness does. It also has an adjustment, and then it comes with a lanyard for the rangefinder as well. The way the pockets attach, they actually use this wing design here, so it's about a 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch piece of fabric. Has Velcro, or the soft side of Velcro on both sides of it, so you wrap the pocket around and Velcro it on. So getting into the good thing for me, I really like the way this Bino harness opens and closes. Being able to just use it one hand, just use your thumb, hook it in the loop, open it, get it up over that lip. That lip to me is one of the best designs I've seen in a Bino harness for the way it opens and closes. Getting it up over that lip and allowing it to seal. My pet peeve with Bino harnesses is they have to seal. If they don't, it's not. I don't even look at the Bino harness, because you spend a lot of money on optics and you don't want to be putting those optics down in sticks, dirt, debris, Pop-Tarts from breakfast, whatever it may be, right? You want to seal that off. So that's one of my big ones for me. Real quick size reference, these are 10 by 42 ELs. You can see they fit in here really nicely, open and close around this harness really well with those binos in it. For me, that's where this harness stops at the good things. Outside of the way it opens and closes, everything else about this Bino harness is horrible, horrendous. And we're going to kind of get into that. And again, these are my opinions on the way I use a Bino harness, but a lot of these you guys should know about, because I didn't know it when I bought it, and then the more I started using this, the worse and worse it got. So real quick, go back, preface this. I purchased this back in almost a year ago, so keep that in mind as I go through this and you'll see why that's important. So for me, pockets, right? I like to carry my knife, my tags, some latex gloves. I like to carry all that on my person. Lighter, things like that I like to have in my Bino harness. It's kind of my go kit, if you will. And so with this one, you have these 2 small pockets that wrap around the edge. These pockets are pretty tight. I actually have 2 mouth elk calls in here. Reaching in here one-handed can be difficult because you're fighting the tension of the pocket to get your elk call out. Obviously, if I use 2 hands, I can do that pretty easy. I can stretch the pocket out, reach in there, and pull it out. The problem becomes the pocket on the side, especially the side that you have your rangefinder on, becomes almost useless because your rangefinder pouch is right up against that. So you almost can't utilize that section of the pocket whatsoever. So moving kind of the front part of that pocket, you can see I have my wind checker. It's actually tethered. When I first got this harness, I was having a hard time keeping my wind checker in there because the pocket was so tight, it was actually pushing this out and it would fall out. That's why I had to tether it off. So because I've had this a year, a problem has arose from using it this way. Is that I thought, okay, if I leave this in there, over time it's going to stretch that pocket. It's going to make it easier to get my wind checker in and out. Well, that really backfired on me because it didn't stretch the pocket any. What it actually did was it collapsed the foam into my Bino harness, which makes it difficult for my binos to come in and out. So you can see what I'm talking about here. You can actually see that the Bino harness bulges out on this one side where my range, or where my pouch is for my wind checker. So now when I go to put my binos in, it actually makes that objective area smaller. So if I was to put like 50s in here instead of 42s, it would be really difficult to get them in there because the bino harness has actually collapsed in on itself over the year from that use. So for me, you know, there's a lot of wasted space on this harness for pockets. The basement down here, so if you were to put some type of zipper pocket or mesh pocket down here where I could put a knife, some latex gloves, something like that, and then on the back here, you know, most manufacturers are putting some type of pocket back here, whether it be for a phone or for your tag. You can put those pockets on and keep a minimalist style design on this harness. And I get that's probably what they were trying to go for, is a minimalist harness, but you can utilize space that's already on this harness that's not being used. A prime example to me, I'd like to see somebody put call pockets up here on the top. So I can slide elk calls in from the side, I can get them when it's open, I can get them when it's closed. It makes it pretty easy to use from that aspect. The other thing is the material they used. So the big one is noise, right? We want a bino harness to be quiet. They did put a brushed fleece in part of this, but then the rest of the bottom of this is made from the same fabric that's on the outside of like the rangefinder pouch and everything. And with the Swarovskis, I don't know if it's just a rubber coating the Swarovskis. It did this with my loopholes as well, and Vortex as well. Not quiet whatsoever. It squeaks like crazy. It gets really bad when this harness kind of gets wet, and as it starts to dry back out, it squeaks so bad. Horrible fabric that they used for this. I just don't understand, you know, really. You can, yeah. So it's not very quiet whatsoever. If we kind of move over to the rangefinder pocket, and we look at the rangefinder pocket again, it opens and closes similar to the bino harness. I'd like to see the lip up here so that it can actually lock close. And the reason why that is this is the Leupold 1600 rangefinder. And you can see that it's actually almost completely flush with the pocket. It almost fits all the way down in the pocket. The bad part about that is there's really the lid serves no purpose, right? It just flaps in and out of the way. The pocket is really small, so it's narrow, and it's depth-wise is narrow. These are, like I said, 1600s. It's kind of tight to put in there. I know there are some rangefinders that don't even fit in this pocket because the pocket is built so small. The other thing to me is the lanyard that they have here. There's no quick release on this lanyard. So say I'm going out in the yard to shoot, I want to check my yardages. I don't really want to put my harness on just to shoot in the backyard. Or if, say I'm in the field, my buddy's rangefinder dies and I want to loan him mine so he can, you know, go on a stalk or whatever. I can't take this off. I actually have to go all the way back here to the back. I have to take the button stop off. I have to unthread it from the bino harness and then unthread it from the rangefinder itself just to get the rangefinder off. A simple quick release button to put in here would have made that a lot easier, a little bit more thought out, and that much more versatile. And speaking of quick release buckles, this one's the one that it makes me wonder if they even thought about this. So I like to glass from a tripod, right, using my binoculars. And most manufacturers, when they give you a bino harness, they only give you about 3 inches before the male buckle connects to the actual rangefinder or the binocular harness up here. For some reason, they put 1 foot of webbing, a 1/2 inch wide, on here. So when these are on a tripod, the biggest issue you have is wind. The vibration coming from this and wind looking through the binoculars is horrendous. You really can't make things out because they're moving around in the wind on the tripod. They needed to shorten these up and make these about 3 inches and get rid of the 1/2 inch webbing. This is a horrible design. Most people use about an 1/8 inch webbing, and again, they only use about 3 inches of it. So it makes glassing off things really nice. The bad part about this is with mine, it puts the other end of my buckle almost all the way up on the top of my collarbone. So it almost interferes with my pack. Sometimes I gotta squeeze my harness together when I get my pack on, so that way my pack doesn't actually push these buckles down into my collarbone. It's just not very well thought out from that aspect, and it really makes me wonder what they were thinking on that. Moving to the wings, right? How you attach your pockets. This is another one that, again, this is a me problem because I'm a small guy. The big wings here, number one, there's a lot of fabric here that's not being used. So you can see I can fold that up, and there's a good piece of fabric here that's not being utilized. You could actually cut this off because it's non-load bearing. It has no support benefit. It has no benefit to this harness whatsoever, other than it creates additional surface space for my body and basically makes it a lot hotter. But for me, being a skinny guy, put a 2.5-inch wing on this side and a 2.5-inch wing on this side, and what that does is that pushes my quick release buckles back. My quick release buckles are almost directly underneath of my arm. So getting this on and off is actually difficult because, yeah, I can reach up here, but once I try to tighten this as well, I'm actually pulling these straps completely behind my body because the 2.5-inch wings push it that much farther around my body. Makes it so difficult to get to. For me, it's a well thought out open and closing harness that I think they rushed to market because they were like, oh, we have a really good idea. We don't want anybody to steal it. Let's get it on the market. But there was no thought put into the rest of this harness whatsoever. You know, they have a rangefinder pouch, but they don't even have a GPS pouch out yet, a cell phone pocket pouch out, nothing out yet for that. It's been almost a year. You would think that would be, you know, a month or two behind you would have another good pocket. And just a lot of the small things, the horrible design of the pockets, the lack of pockets, the rangefinder pouch that's really small. They didn't test fit different rangefinders in here before they put it to market. They must have designed it around a single rangefinder and thought, hey, that's going to work. It's tight. It doesn't even fit a lot of them. And it's really the only option for that. If you try to put an additional pocket, you know, a third-party pocket on this, you have to put it all the way back here by the buckle or behind the buckle. Again, for a small guy like me, that's going to be underneath my arms. I'm going to be walking like this. There's a lot of things in this harness that just were not thought out or were not thought through very well. Again, in my opinion, I'm not a fan, right? I like that it opens and closes, but outside of that, this Bino harness is horrible. Like I said, I tried to use it for a year. I just can't. Can't recommend it until they update it and make a second version and address some of these issues. I just can't recommend this harness whatsoever. The ADAK Bino harness, check it out if you want. Alright, so you guys can see that review is quite a bit different from most of them that I've ever done. I typically don't blast a product that much. With this particular harness, I really like the open and closing design. Everything else about it, as you can tell, I absolutely hate. There's a lot of little things in there that really add up to this harness to make it so bad. So I really wanted to point those out for you guys. I've got the new KUIU Pro Bino harness on the way, so that one's going to be coming up probably in a couple months, maybe to a year. I'm going to switch to that Bino harness because I think it has a lot of things that this ADAK Bino harness misses on. I really think they fixed that in the new KUIU. I tried the old KUIU before and really was not a fan of it, but I've got that one on the way, so keep an eye out for that one before. If you guys like today's video, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe. We can get more videos out there like this one. Thanks, guys.